Hey, what's going on? Figured I can't just leave you guys with a how-to video on how to remove some pesky lug nuts. But getting ready to go out of town for a couple days, take care of something. Figure I'd throw something together for you guys. I was able to, well, obviously get the wheel swapped out on this car and get this off my trailer. I'm sure some or most of you have already seen this by now, but I got a key made. I know, my door's ajar. I know, it's ajar. And not only do I have a key made, I have a running car. Don't run so well with the boost pipes disconnected, obviously, but it's a good running motor, so I'm pretty happy about that, not gonna lie. So this is just gonna chill here for a little while until I'm able to get it in the garage and get it apart. But now that I know the motor's good, gives me a little bit of peace of mind, so I'm pretty happy about that. Oh, no oil pressure, but it's okay because this isn't even hooked up. The line was never hooked up to this. It was folded up inside the A-pillar, so I don't hear any ticking coming out of the motor, so I assume it has oil pressure. It's just, I mean, you would know if it didn't have oil pressure. But I found out a bunch of stuff on this car. I wasn't able to figure out who the last owner was. Nobody contacted me. Yeah, I didn't contact them. I did, however, find a for sale ad for this car online by the owner before the last one, I believe, the one who actually built this car. I tried to reach out to them a couple times. I didn't hear anything back, so I either they think I'm some sort of scammer or they just don't want to talk to me. I don't, whatever. They have that right. Is what it is. But let me see if I find this real quick. So this car currently has 109,000 miles on it. And October of 2021, the car had 107,000 miles on it. So it's only had like 2,000 to 3,000 more miles on it in a year and a half. And at the time when it had 107,000 on it, all these modifications only had 4,000 to 5,000 miles on them. So you're talking like 7,000 or 8,000 miles at the most on all of these modifications. So that's pretty good considering, you know, the blower's only got 7,000 or 8,000 miles on it. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I will read you this ad. Car is 2013 Ford Mustang GT Premium. Car is near perfect condition. It ain't near perfect condition anymore, I'll give you that much. Premium package with all options except navigation. Has big brake package, etc. Well, remember when it said Willwood on the brake calipers? Guess what? It's got the factory Brumbos on it, and somebody painted Willwood on them. Kind of a little bit of you know, tricking going on there, but they are the big brakes, so I'll give it that. Extensively modified. Everything in the car is new with around 5,000 miles on it. Body has 107,000 miles. Looks new. Well, it don't look new anymore. All modifications were done at a speed shop. No backyard builds, etc. Short list of modifications done 4,000 to 5,000 miles ago. And engine. Built Gen 1 block and heads. Gen 2 rods and pistons. Procharger P1X. HO. 11 to 12 pounds. Red race valve, etc. ID 1050 injectors with BAP. Cobra jet intake with oval twin throttle body. Stainless works headers and off-road X-pipe. Full exhaust, twin tips, muffler delete. T56 Magnum XL. Upgrade. Aluminum dry shaft. McLeod RXT 1200 horsepower clutch. BMR. Tubular K-member. Suspension coilovers front and rear. $4,500 wheels and tires. Vossen with Toyo 8Rs. Anderson composite hood and rear wing. All supporting gauges, etc. MGW shifter. Much more. Too much to list. Also goes on to say that the car was tuned by Palm Beach. I forget what it's called. PBD. Maybe you guys know it is Palm Beach something. So it had a SCT X4 tuner with the car. It's no longer with it. Yeah, so it's got a bunch of stuff done to it. I've also found a fuel pump voltage booster mounted in the spare tire well. You know, the battery's been relocated. Some other stuff. So it's pretty happy with this parts card. It's pretty freaking sweet. It's yeah. I'm excited about this drivetrain. So, what am I working on next? Well, let's go see. I'd like to start working on this soon. I'm still waiting to get the title back. I don't like to put time and money into things until I have the title in hand. The title is screwed up, so just, you know, waiting to get it back. So, unfortunately, you have to wait a little while longer for this one. And with that, welcome to my childhood. Well, huge part of my childhood. I think I'm gonna start working on this one again soon, very, very soon. I don't know about like the next week or so, but soon. I'm gonna. I think it's time. So this is my 1959 Ford F100 panel truck that was converted into an ambulance when it was new. It was it had an ambulance conversion by Siebert. It's SIEBERT. And they added the windows in the back, and there's like vents in the roof and stuff. So this was called a rescue wagon, I believe is the technical term, and it is the only one like it known to exist. And I'm not just saying that. It's literally like the only one I've ever seen or anybody else has ever seen that still exists. I mean, if you know of another one built like this, please show me. I don't mean like one that somebody put windows in. These are you know, these are like factory quality windows. Look at like how the bodywork is. That's you know, you could tell they were done professionally, not just some backyard hack. And that's a mosquito. So, why is this a huge part of my childhood? Well, this is my dad's. This was my dad's truck when he passed away. And we used to go to car shows and swap meets in it all over the state and Indiana, etc. And this truck is the main reason that I love vehicles as much as I do. I kind of owe most of it to my father and this truck. So when he passed away in 1995, I was actually with him. We were setting up at a swap meet the night before, and he had a replacement heart valve just fail on him, and he just dropped right in front of me. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever witnessed my entire life. Probably until my probably up until a few years ago when my wife lost her battle with cancer. Yeah, so anywho, I kind of reluctantly sold this truck about 4 years after he passed. I had my license by then. I drove it around some, but it sat in the driveway a bunch until it sat in my driveway for about 4 years before I got my license. And when I got my license, I started driving it, and it developed an issue. I don't remember if it was a blown head gasket or what, but it was smoking a bunch. I ripped the motor apart and sent the heads out to get rebuilt, and then I never put it back together because I didn't have anybody to show me what I'm doing, and I didn't know what I was doing because I said so I reluctantly sold it to my father's friend, and he ended up putting it back together and sold it to his brother, I think, and I lost track of it. And it took me 16 years of search. Oh, I didn't try looking for it until a couple years after that. But nobody knew where it was. It took me 16 years of looking to find it. So, and out of all places, it was in Valparaiso, Indiana, about an hour from here. And I heard that it was in Colorado or Arizona. I heard it was in Arizona and then Ohio and blah, blah, but it was in Valparaiso. And after I got it back, cleaned it out, and I found receipts from Arizona and Ohio in it. So, and coincidentally, I found it a few years before that, and I didn't even know it because the roof, the gentleman I purchased it back from, he told me that the roof was white when he got it, and he repainted it back to red. I saw it for sale in Ohio with the white roof. I didn't think it was the same one. So, anyways, I found it on Facebook for sale, and I contacted the guy and told him my story and why the truck was important to me. And he no longer had it for sale at that point. So I had to set it up to come see it. I had my buddy with me, and everything's fine. We go in there. He opens up his pole barn, and he had it up on a lift, like 2-post lift or 4-post lift or something. He had up on top. He had other car underneath it, and I laid my eyes on it, and I started crying. My buddy that was with me that day got to see a grown man cry over a truck, so it was pretty emotional. I pretty much told myself I wasn't going to leave there unless I was able to purchase it. So talking with the guy, he threw me a number that he said he offered it to one of his friends for, and he wants to give his friend first right of refusal. And but he wanted me to give him 10% more or something. I'm like, whatever, dude, whatever. You do you. He ended up calling me back the next day, and he's like, yeah, well, my friend doesn't have the money. If you're interested, let me know. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm interested. I've been looking 16 years for this damn truck. And I got the okay from my wife. She's like, yeah, you've been looking for this truck for a while, and I know it means so much to you. So she gave me the okay to buy it back. And the gentleman I bought it from, he told me, oh yeah, it ran great when he last drove it. He parked it, blah blah, and it didn't run great. I ended up finding like 2 bent rods and something. He basically hydrolocked the motor. Oh, it wasn't. He wasn't totally honest with me. Let's put it that way. Oh, if he would have sold it to his friend, I mean, he probably would have had one lost friend. But I have it back. So a little backstory. My father had a 1962 Lincoln Continental back when nobody wanted those things and they were impossible to sell. You know, suicide doors. He had a nice one. Nobody wanted that car. Nobody wanted to pay anything for it. You couldn't give those things away at the time. This gentleman contacted my father, said, hey, I've got this panel truck. Would you be interested in a trade? Went up and looked at the panel truck and we left with it. And story we got, it was ambulance in Georgia. So this thing's super solid. It's super clean body. Fast forward a couple years after my father died, I get a phone call. And it wasn't, you know, a typical like telemarketer or whatever. I'm actually the one who answered the phone. And the guy's like, you know, asking for my father. And you know, after I realized it wasn't a telemarketer, I was like, no, I'm sorry, he passed away a couple years ago. And he's like, oh my God. And he's like, is this his son? I'm like, yes. And he's like, well, he basically said he was getting ready to move, and he hadn't driven the Lincoln in a couple years and wanted to get rid of it. And then he asked me if I wanted it back. I'm like, well, yeah, that'd be cool. And he's like, well, I want to give it to you for free. So he gave me the Lincoln back for free, which is pretty awesome. So me and my dad's buddy went up and we got he had an old U-Haul tow bar, and we towed it back. And he had neglected it for a while, and it needed all the brakes gone through. It needed new brake lines and gas lines, but anywho, we got all back together, running, driving, all that, and long story short, in early 2000s, 62 Lincoln Continental was still impossible to get rid of. Nobody wanted it even then. And look at those cars now. If I had that car now in that condition, it'd be a $15,000, $20,000 car, and it would sell like that. Trends, man. Trends are weird. Anywho, I wanted to keep it, but I just couldn't. And at the time, I was basically going like vehicle to vehicle at the time. So that's why I have so many now, because I couldn't then, and now I can, so I have them, you know. But anyways, so I had a plan of attack with my buddy Sean, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna update this thing a little bit, put a small block Ford in it with an AOD trans and disc brakes, all that jazz, and got a pretty good head start on it, working on it. And then when my wife got sick, it kind of got put on the back burner, and she's, you know, subsequently passed away from cancer, and I kind of just lost interest. I just you know, it's, you know, I got other things, and it's just like, and it was almost like losing my father all over again, you know. And I just it was hard. So this thing kind of just sat here in the garage ever since. So and that was 2019. So we're talking almost 4 years now that actually it's been 4 years since I really put any, you know, major work to it. I did a little bit to it a couple years ago, and then it kind of just like stalled again. So, but I told myself, this is the year I'm getting this thing back on the road. And we're talking like over 20 years in the making, that, you know, since the last time I was in this vehicle driving. It's you want to see a grown man cry, wait until I get this thing back on the road. You'll see me cry, trust me. especially if I give my son a ride in it. So that's what I did. I ended up having a low mile short block. It's a roller 5.0 short block. I ended up with some aluminum heads through a deal. I bought a Mustang race car someone was building, and that they abandoned. I parted it out. I ended up with some heads for free, basically. Everything's new on here pretty much. I decided to go EFI, so I got FI Tech, and now I've heard some bad things about them, so I don't know, we'll see what happens. I ended up changing the feed on it a couple times. I think this is the one we're going with. That is not mouse nest. That's from when I had my attic and the garage insulated, and they got that crap everywhere. I was a little upset about that, to be honest, but is what it is at this point. Still, I have a lot of cleanup to do under the hood, obviously, but I don't remember what's left to do, but I don't think it's a lot. Actually, this is the list we made a couple years ago. So I'm assuming all that's still the same since we didn't cross any of it out. So give me a couple weeks and I'm going to start working on this again. And I would love to share the progress with you guys because this is a cool truck. I said I had a lot of memories in it with my father, and I'm looking forward to make more memories with my son in it. So it'd kind of be like you know, the three of us, you know, this will be the closest I can get to, you know, having my son know my father. So it's yeah, but not a ton left to do on it, but you know, it's just getting that motivation to get working at it again. Oh, yeah, poor rotor's already flashed over. I'm sitting. But yeah, so this is probably what I'll be working on next. In my own garage, of all things. So I kind of owe it to the truck to get it back on the road because it left my possession not running, and I got it back not running. So I need to finish what I started. So. All right, it's starting to get dark out and I need to get going. I gotta move some vehicles around and get my trailer hooked up. So, see you guys soon.